was not even paid version of it. It offered different, rationale behind why these were the different type of questions that would suit my need.
Yeah.
And it gave me different options. If I were to use this question, this is how it would benefit me. And this is, if you use a rating scale together with a follow-up question,
Yeah.
this is what you're going to get from it. Whilst ChatGPT was very minimal with their result in terms of what it gave you. I gave it the same prompting,
Yeah.
but more enhanced outcome from Gemini.
That's very interesting. And that, have you played around with Claude at all?
No, not yet.
Okay, that's another one. Claude, I think, often elaborates a lot more and expands a lot more on its answer. So, but
Okay.
So did you feed it the surveys, basically, the answers?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
I asked it to rewrite the question. So I had originally asked it what is the best rating scales to use for onboarding surveys, because I want to create a dashboard.
Yeah.
And it just followed up based on that initial question. So when I asked it to rewrite, it remembered that I was doing a dashboard for onboarding, and
Okay.
it accordingly customized the question to meet the original need.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's such
Yeah.
a good use case. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
well done.
So it was really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if that's something that you often do, you must maybe just create a bot for it, either a GPT or somewhere else. Just create something that you can format and just use the same prompt all the time. So you don't have to copy
Yeah,
and paste and
absolutely.
give it the same
Yes,
context all the time.
yes, yes, no, absolutely.
Very cool, Ashni. You guys also mentioned something about that you want to create a chatbot for the staff. Like
We're still getting there.
an onboarding chatbot.
So we're busy trying to get a chatbot for our succession planning.
Oh, right, yeah.
Career development and succession planning, it's quite expensive. So still work in progress. We aspire to get an AI tool that will enable us to do that. But I think because at this stage it's very developmental, it takes a lot of effort to get to that point. I think there will come a point where the pricing will drop. At this stage, it's not affordable to outsource that functionality.
Yeah.
Whilst everybody's still exploring the platforms.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you could try with some of the cheaper versions, the sort of ready-made packaged version, like the one I showed the other day, the chat base and those sort of things, just to develop the concept. And then when you take that to a developer, you can basically show them the prototype of what it is that you want them to build. So that also saves sometimes time and development costs. So that's maybe an idea there.
Cool.
Maybe we should also chat offline. I've got some other ideas for people that can help you with building full-fledged chatbots.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome, Jimmy. Yeah, if you can switch on your cameras, that'd be great. So I can keep an eye on everybody, that no one sort of wanders off and go and have a cup of coffee or falls asleep or anything like that. This is being recorded. Yeah, so today we'll do the same sort of thing as we always do. I'm going to put you guys over there and then just share my screen. I want to just start with some news articles. Make sure I've got my sound on. All right, can everybody see my PowerPoint screen? If anybody could just kind of give me a wave, or just, yeah. Okay, cool.
Yes.
All right, great. So this is not animated, so sorry. So you have to read along with me. I think the first section there is something that caught my eye that I thought was super interesting. There's an article by another one of these AI geniuses, a guy by the name of Cole Schumann, that sort of wrote a long article about the abundance of intelligence, and actually where where AI is going. And the one comment that he started off with is basically saying, in the future, we're not only going to have super intelligence, but we're also going to have very cheap super intelligence. So that he was basically based on the premise that the human brain actually works of only 20 watts, 20 watts of energy or electricity being generated in the brain, and it can do all of the stuff that a human brain can do. Now he's basically saying if we could get the computers and the chips and those sort of things to work at that level of energy, then energy will basically become, or the intelligence will basically become super cheap. And then if you factor into that the basis that AI doesn't sleep, it doesn't take time off, it doesn't spend time, it's most of its time in career and education and retirement or leisure. It literally just works 24 hours, 365. That, you know, the type of productivity that you can gain from AI, you know, if you got it cheap and it produces that kind of productivity, the benefits that it can give us. And then you've got to start thinking about, if you think about it in terms of the cost, is what is the greatest value that you can apply AI to? If you're in an organizations, what roles is it going to be replacing? So let's just, you know, we often talk about, you know, AI replacing humans and taking your jobs and those sort of things. Where is it going to be make the most economic sense to replace those roles? And it is going to be, if you think about it in this sense, it's probably for an organization is going to be the roles that are most expensive to employ. So if you think, if we can employ super intelligence on the professionals, your doctors, lawyers, and the top echelons of an organization, that's where the most impact is going to be, and that's where the most savings is going to come from. So so if you then think about, you know, where we sit now with GPT-4, and we sit with Gemini 1.5, and we sit with Claude 3.5, what is this going to look like when we get to GPT-6, GPT-3, and Claude 5? In terms of the development that goes and the impact that it's going to have. So it's going to be very disruptive in the future of work. And we're saying that at the moment there seems to be a lack of preparation from business leaders and society for when that comes, because everybody sort of thinks, no, that's way off into the future, and that's not going to happen very soon, so we don't have to plan for it. And they're saying that basically even economists, their projections that they use, they base on what has happened in the last few years, or 5 years or 3 years, or even in the last year, where we know that this growth of the intelligence is basically exponential. And so they're saying economists that advise people and or businesses are basically underestimating the impact that it could have. So people should be at this stage start to think about, where are we going to be in 2 to 3 years from now instead of 5 to 10 years. So I don't know if any of you have got any views or comments on that statement. It's a pretty scary scenario, but if you guys have got anything to share with me on that. Anybody with a question or a comment on that? Hi, Nish. Nice to see you here as well with your sunglasses on.
My video just suddenly came on. Sorry, I'm driving and I just came in. So, the Zoom, trying to figure out between Teams and Zoom. Hey, Q. Hi, everyone.
Okay, cool.
Quentin, in terms of that AI doesn't sleep, I attended a webinar this week where they spoke about the energy consumption with using your different AI tools. And actually, it's something that I hadn't thought about, that it consumes a lot of power, which means that your computers needs to use more cooling energy, which is obviously drawing energy. So from a footprint perspective, for an environmental perspective, has anyone measured what that impact is going to be long term into the future?
Yeah, No, absolutely. It is a huge concern because the energy consumption that these big computers are that's running like OpenAI or Claude or Gemini or Google's computers are using masses of amount of energy, and it is costing the planet at this stage. So the greenhouse gases and stuff that is being emitted, and the cost of cooling these machines are enormous, and it's you know, it just keeps growing. And those big companies have got the money at this stage because of all the investment. They have got the money to build those systems, so they will keep expanding that. So the energy that's being built. So a lot of people think, oh, it's energy on my machine. It doesn't really affect your machine because it's all running in the cloud. But that capacity that's being built in the cloud is definitely you know, a concern for long term. But that's why this development that's going on is to bring that energy consumption down. And so the focus is not only to make them smarter, but actually to make the computers use less energy. So yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Ashni. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Right. So the other thing is that I just want to talk about the AI agents and just keep that in people's minds as well. Even though it's not something that's happening now, it's not. We haven't had a ChatGPT moment for AI agents. We've had, you know, ChatGPT basically is a large language model, is a chatbot in essence. But the you know, a lot of these companies are still working on AI agents. And that's something that, you know, the large language models is basically just a stepping stone in order to get to that. So if you're asking what is an AI agent, it's an autonomous system that can pursue open-ended goals and complete tasks with minimal human input. So it's basically saying it's a bot or bots that can work on its own steam and on projects. So you basically give AI access to a computer's keyboard and mouse, and allowing it to interact with digital interfaces. So what it's saying is it could basically, the bot can see what's happening on your screen, and then it can respond with your keyboard and mouse. Now that's simplifying it down to one computer level. Obviously, if you're talking about big systems, that it can actually run through a lot of those big systems on its own. So if you think about it, it's almost like if you, you know, there's automation that you can do now with Zapier or make.com or all those sort of things, where it starts with a trigger, and that trigger sets off a process where one app speaks to another app in multimodal language. In other words, they use pictures and they use text and they use those sort of things. And then these different apps can sort of kick off one process after another, and or one task after another in order to create a whole project. So you know, the AI agents is basically you know, a system or individual bots that can operate on its own. And then obviously you think of the next step for that is these agents all working together in completing different tasks. Then you can see where that all that is leading in the future as well. So if I haven't scared you enough, anybody know more about agents or want to share with us what you know about agents, or what you think of where agents are going?
All right. Have a nice day. Bye.
Okay, I didn't hear that. Is there anybody else that, I don't know whose microphone that was? Okay, cool. So that's AI agents. And then the other thing is that a research study recently, the State of Marketing AI report, said that 60%, or that there's a big need for AI literacy. People are still not developing AI very quickly. 67% of respondents said a lack of education and training was the top barrier of AI adoption in their marketing. And then 75% of organizations offered no or little AI-focused training, which basically blew me away, because I thought that, you know, we're now 1.5 years to 2 years into this AI revolution, and that there's a lot more being spent. So I think there's a lot of awareness of AI, but people are, businesses have not really switched on to what they need to do, and giving their organization or their people enough training in the business on AI. Cool. So just another couple of quick things. OpenAI has recently released or leaked a scale that they use to determine how human their chatbots are. And they say basically the large language models they rate as chatbots. And the next level would be reasoners, so that it can actually think. It's not just predicting the next word, but it's actually can reason in terms of the context of the stuff. And then agents is coming, and then you get innovators and organization. Now, organization is basically what we were saying about AI agents, is like a bunch of agents working together in one organization. So like you can think of a swarm of AI agents working on one specific task. And you can think of, again, taking that back to never sleep and always awake and working on a task and having super cheap energy in one day. That I think this is quite a scary place to be. And this one up your alley, Ashni, also there's an interesting study that I saw about HR company wants to treat its AI workers like humans. They're actually creating employee records. They have full onboarding programs for the AIs. They have training, and they have performance metrics. So I think it's a little bit soon for that. It's a little bit premature to try and build that into a company. But you can see how certain people are thinking about AI. Ashni, have you guys got employee records yet for your chatbots?
Not yet, not yet.
No,
I'd rather have that than having to consider integrating this with the unions. So having a union
Right.
representative for the AI. George would have a
that's-
field day with that.
Yeah, imagine that, having a union for the chatbots. Oh, that's scary. No work, no pay. Yeah, okay. And then, okay, so the next one is AI blocks users from China from its tools and services. So on that level, there's still conflict going on. So the problem with blocking users in China is that you're pushing all those consumers or those users into China's own tools and services, or chatbot tools. So we're going to get all these countries developing their own chatbots. Last week we spoke about Microsoft and Apple having seats on the board of OpenAI. Well, this week they both dropped their seats. They basically said no, they're not interested. They don't want to be on the OpenAI board. So that's quite a surprise. But these things are happening quite quickly. And to be honest, I'm not too sure why these guys are doing this sort of, why they want a seat and then they don't want a seat. I would have thought that they want say in OpenAI, since Microsoft has put billions of dollars into OpenAI, so you'd expect them to do that. And then Anthropic releases a prompt playground. Now, as
Quentin?
Yes, Nish.
I just wanted to add something to that last one. So I listened to a recent podcast by Scott Galloway, and the reason they removed or moved off their seats is because of a governance issue. So anti-competitive behavior. Because the reality is that there's a few, like Microsoft has board seats on most of the AI platforms. And so they preempting an anti-competitive move by the regulators to say that they have complete control and monopoly of AI, which they do.
Wow.
And Scott Galloway argued actually that it's too late now, because they already have the advantage that they wanted by having those board seats, which is complete control and scalability of AI. And so removing themselves off doesn't actually hinder them, because they achieved the result that they wanted to by having those board seats.
Wow, that's actually very interesting. Yeah. If you think about, all of them have got all of these shares. But for Apple, does the same apply to Apple?
So as an example, if say OpenAI wanted to integrate with a music platform and they suddenly decided, hey, let's integrate with Spotify, it's probably the best. Apple wouldn't keep quiet. They're on the board, and so they wouldn't, and so that's where that anti-competitive comes in. So Apple, for instance, owns a number of platforms and ecosystems, and so I think it's a move by Microsoft and Apple to preempt what the regulators would ask them.
Makes sense. Yeah, great. Thank you, Nish. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, and then the Anthropic release of the prompt playground. If you go into Claude, which is Anthropic's chatbot, you'll see there's a lot of help with prompts. Guidance on how to prompt, and obviously we know prompt engineering was a year ago was the big thing, and we thought we're all going to be prompt engineers. But as these bots get smarter and smarter, and it's almost like the bots are understanding the prompts better, or the bots are understanding us better rather than us adapting to understand them. That's the way things are going. But I think it's always you're going to get more out of these bots the better your prompts are and the better you can communicate, which is pretty much like you would treat any other human being or any human employee anyway. The better you can brief them and give them a background on what you want them to do and describe precisely what you want out of it, the better the result is going to be. It's just common sense in that way. Okay, and then AI video startup captions is valued at $500. More investment going into a video editing software. And then lastly, I've got Gemini for Google Workspace is now live. I don't know if any one of you have seen Gemini pop up in your Google Workspace. You've got that, Gary. I've also got that coming up. Ashni, you're shaking your head. Yeah, George. Okay, so have you guys, has it been useful, or has it been in a hindrance, or is it, can you see where this is going, that you're actually going to be using it? What are you using it for? Any comments?
It's actually just all Vids. It like helps you with writing and general stuff. It's not that mind-blowing. It's also, you have to pay extra. I think it's, I forget now. It's like $500 or $600 or $700.
$30.
So I don't see it.
I'm studying AI because I don't have any support from anywhere else to pursue AI.
Tell me you have you.
Just hang on, I need to mute myself.
Sorry, Grant, were you talking to us?
Yeah, Grant, please mute yourself. We don't want to hear all your troubles.
Okay.
Hey, everyone, sorry about that.
No, that's fine. Okay, cool. So I found a couple of use cases, or just a couple of times when I used it, just searching around emails. As you all know, Google's email search, to search for something in your email is a nightmare. You keep getting some really rubbish stuff. So now you can actually search with the AI amongst your emails and describe an email that you're looking for, and you don't exactly know what it was, that who said it, where they said it, and what they said. But you can talk to the AI and it'll help you find those emails, or group together a whole bunch of emails that's not necessarily in the filter. It's like an advanced search kind of thing. So that's something that I've played around with a lot. But then also it's quite useful within Google Drive. If you've got tons of files and stuff hanging around there and you're looking for stuff, and it can also then obviously Gemini would be able to see inside of the files and help you bring things together. So that's quite useful there. Tony, you raised your hand.
Yeah, quick one. So does that mean that you have to allow Google to be able to have access to all your emails, your whole Google Drive, all your files, and how does that say, okay, I'll keep that confidential, or does it just say, thanks, I've got that information?
Yeah, I mean, I assume that Google Gmail is already visible to Google anyway. So in terms of the Google Drive, in terms of the documents that are in there, I have to be honest, I'm not 100% sure in terms of how much they can see, or whether there's some sort of coding, encoding going on that doesn't allow people at Google to withdraw that information? That's probably a good question to have answered. But I think we all use Google freely. We always have our location on, and Google knows where we are. We use it for our Gmails and that sort of stuff. So we're assuming Google knows all that stuff already. What were you thinking specifically, Tony?
No, the less I can tell Google and everybody else,
yeah,
the less I tell them. So actually, I don't do Gmail. I don't do Google Drive.
Yeah.
But they're having an AI which can search everything.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, and that can then put it into what we've already got enough problems with the big tech companies understanding a whole bunch of stuff. Giving it access to everything you've got is because you give it access to your private files. There could be all sorts of stuff in there that you don't want people to have, bank account numbers. I don't know, last will and testaments. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff that and then of course that's open to hacking and stuff, which hopefully you would think that the big tech companies are beyond hacking, but there have been issues everywhere around it, or just what are they using it for, right? So
that's actually very interesting.
Anyway, just a comment.
Yeah, I'm wondering, Grant or Ashley, within your organization, you use Google quite extensively, and it's a big organization. What sort of guarantees have you got on privacy of data and that type of thing from Google?
I'm not too sure. I think it's a question we'd have to ask our IT department. I mean, we're very particular about our data, giving our audience. So there's definitely there's definitely mechanisms in place. I just don't know what is that agreement to ensure that our data is secured. Sure.
Yeah, that would be an interesting, because I would assume if an organization like an enterprise account like yours, that there should be barriers, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Because then Google would lose out big time if there wasn't a mechanism in place.
Yeah. No, absolutely. If they didn't have that in place. All right. So that's something that we will have to sort of investigate, I would suspect. So what I want to talk about today is actually that Google Workspace keep expanding, but also just having a look at, but specifically looking at an extra tool that they've launched. Google brought out the Notebook LM, which I got quite excited about, and now Google Videos is also quite a nice addition that they've added to the workspace. But I first want to show you. You'll remember that we spoke a couple of weeks ago. I showed you guys how you can use AI to create a website, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing again. I'll just quickly remind you, if you go into Wix and you say create a new website, and then you have this conversation with a chatbot about what it is that you want to create, and it asks you to tell you more, and I'm skipping ahead, and then eventually, if you give it enough information, Wix will create a website for you, which is basically just the starting point then for you to go and create and to play around with this website. It basically gives you that template to start with, but it's filled in a lot of the information already. So that's using AI to sort of create a website from scratch. And then I said, what you can be there also, create something like Chatbase, for instance, to go put a chatbot on top of your website by literally also then just uploading some information, links to websites and documents and all those sort of things, and then creating this chatbot and telling it what to say and how to answer people and what it must look like and all those sort of things. And then finally, once you built the whole thing, you could, this is still formatting it into different colors. Once you built the whole thing, you could literally take the code and paste it onto your Wix website or any other website, and it'll give you a nice chatbot that looks something like this on the right-hand side, which your customers can go and talk to. So now this is basically then for somebody without any coding experience or developing experience, you got a website and you got a chatbot on top of your website. So I want to go a little bit further today with what we saw last week. And again, just to sort of remind you, when we looked at Cloud Sonnet 3.5, that has now given us this capability of coding, and they're saying Claude is the best coder out there at the moment. And then it gives the second window where it shows you a live preview of what it's building. And then something like this Websim that has taken that concept and used Sonnet 3.5 basically to build a website from scratch from just a prompt, just in HTML, or creating an app like this piano, or just a little web app basically that you can put on your website, or anything creative that you can come up with. So you can basically create a drum pad or anything else that you can dream up, and or you can create, like I said, you can almost create your own Excel app or Windows XP interface, or all those sort of things, which are not fully functional, but at least you can do all of those things with Websim. So these are all very basic examples, but if you think where this is going now, think about a year from now, 2 years from now, when Claude brings out Sonnet 4.5 and Sonnet 5 and all of those sort of things, and these interface and these use cases become more and more sophisticated. So now it's not just the domain of developers and coders to create something from scratch. And also, if these aren't fully fledged concepts yet, you could take the HTML that you wrote, that the bot wrote for you, and give that to a developer and say, there's your basis, just go and tidy it up for me, clean it up for me. That changed that whole conversation in terms of the developers. So now we've got Claude, Poe, P-O-E, that's also latched onto that. So Poe is basically a collector, or sort of a portal of different large language models. And I'm actually going to do some of this stuff live today instead of showing you recording. So I'm taking a big risk if the AI or the internet doesn't work for me today. But this is what Poe looks like. So you can actually go and explore and go choose the bot that you want. So you got Claude, GPT-4o, Gemini, Playground, Ideogram, which is a picture generator, Playground, Upscaler. You could see that all of these tools are built into, or you can run them through Poe. So if you don't feel like doing Claude through Claude itself, you can go through this. And because it's got 3.5 Sonnet, you can do that, the coding aspect of it as well. So for instance, I played around with it and just said, create a functioning game of tic-tac-toe. So that was my prompt, very high level prompting skills going into that one. And all it did for me, it wrote the code, and it created a working game of, player O wins. So that it worked, it showed a game for me like that. And if I maximize it, you'll see that it actually shows up on a full website. So I could literally take this code and go put it onto my Wix website if I want to, and have that as a fully functional part of my website. And another thing that you, for instance, could do, I gave it I said, please analyze the information in this report, and I just uploaded NVIDIA's annual report. So it's had a lot of information in it, and obviously I had to calculate all of this information and figure out what's going on in the report. And then it wrote the code, and it basically wrote this little simple website for me. And if I go to the full version of it, there's a website, and it's you want to see revenue, it shows you the revenue chart, and it's an interactive chart. Again, not mind-boggling in terms of the output that it's got. You can build fancier charts than this, but it literally, without any coding skills, I can have that aspect of it. And then maybe as I get better in terms of prompting, more and more of this stuff I can get smarter in building this kind of thing. So then I thought, okay, let me try it in terms of creating a website. Let me just go all the way to the top. I said, create a functioning website for an AI consulting business. Is there any comments there? Or is there let me see who's on. It's that one over there. I'm just going to mute that. Okay. And then so full functioning website, we provide consulting and all of those sort of stuff. And then this is okay. It wrote the HTML for me, and here we go. It gave me the website, a very basic looking website, but it's gave me the outline for that. I can now go back and forth, and can say add more color and SVGs to make it more exciting and attractive. It writes the code and it adds some color, gave me some SVG icons and pictures and stuff. So, but the website is starting to look a little bit more exciting. And then I thought, okay, what if I ask I asked it, what else can it add? What other design elements could be added to make the website more engaging? And it gives me a couple of ideas, and it shows me what that's going to look like. So there's a countdown timer, and it gives me some more services and testimonials and those sort of things. And then I said, give me an example of the interactive AI demo that it suggested. And it gives me this over here, try our chatbot demo. And I go, hello. But obviously, because this chatbot isn't linked to a large language model, it's just an example. It tells me, sorry, I don't have information on what you're talking about, because it literally has no brains. It has no information loaded into it. So you can see all of this stuff that you can do with it. Now you can imagine anything that you can sort of develop in this conversational way, you can now add, just take across to your website. Let's take that, the longer piece there. Actually, let's take the NVIDIA report maybe. I will take this NVIDIA report, copy that, and say, go across to my web editor. And for those of you who were on this website before, you don't have to use this specific website editor, but any website should allow you to add some HTML to it. Sorry, I'm just waiting for this thing to load. Then you could basically add that into your website. So when that is actually finished, this is why I record these things instead of letting them pop up live. Has anybody got questions while I'm waiting for my website to come up? Or any sort of ideas about where we can take this whole thing? If I can sit here at my desk and literally dream up stuff and build them on the fly, what is the possibilities around this? Yes, Nish.
So Quinton, I mean, this is great because it kind of aggregates all the LLMs. So I've got a problem at the moment where my subscription to ChatGPT is now up for renewal. But okay. I can't, if I'm going to pay a certain amount to have a large language model, what would you suggest? What's your recommendation on the best one right now? Is it still ChatGPT or is it an aggregator like POE?
Yeah, I would, if it depends on the amounts of times you're going to use it per day, because that's what POE or PO gives you a limited use on any one of those, the larger language models that you know, the big ones, the latest models. So if it's only going to be a couple of times a day, then I think that's fine. But if you're going to need it more than that, if you are then looking to pay for something, I'll confess right here, I've dropped my ChatGPT subscription because I find what I get in GPT-4o, the free version, is giving me enough, and what I don't get there, I go to Claude, and if I do run out, I can try Perplexity. or you know, or Gemini. So I can literally jump around. I know that's not productive in the sense of if you want to keep everything together, but that's kind of where I'm at, and it's sufficient for my use cases. Okay. Does that make sense? Okay, so this is why I don't want to do live demos, because now this website doesn't want to load. You get the idea though. I could literally add a page to my website over here. I can copy and paste the HTML code in, and voila, the NVIDIA annual report can appear on my website as part of my website, or whatever other gadget or widget I want that I've come up with. I can put that onto my website. So pretty cool. I actually was looking at Poe quite a while ago, and it was the first one that came out with little chatbots like GPTs. Before ChatGPT came out with GPTs, Poe had those. So you could literally create a bot over here, and you know, you can give it a name and look at this. It's got a knowledge base, greeting message, bot profile. You could and then give it instructions on how it should behave. Very similar to GPT. So I have a feeling GPT stole this from ChatGPT, from Poe, because I first saw it over here, and I literally created a bunch of bots that were just useful for me. Like I created this travel post and AI biz bots and all of those sort of things that I was literally just using for my own business cases, because I didn't want to keep rewriting the prompts. So I think I might have shown this to one or two of you at the time before GPTs came out, and it's actually very cool that you and then you can apply any of the large language models to your bot when you ask a question. So Poe, I thought was going to go away with GPTs, but it's still around, and it's still a very useful website. Let me see if this one has come back. Oh, there we go. There's my website. So I literally can now go and click on pages, and I can say add a page, and I can look for a blank page. And now it's going to make me wait again. And then on my blank page, I can, once this has gone blank, I can click on add elements, and I can, oops, add elements, and I can say embed code, embed code, and where's that? And then embed HTML. And now I can literally paste that from Poe, that Poe write, and then just give it a while to load up. Hopefully it does. And I'll just drag it a bit bigger. It's not coming up, I see. So this should appear then if all works well, but I see it's not. So okay, I can maybe just, I'm not going to sort of take more time. You get the idea. This is where your code, it worked earlier. Maybe it's just because I'm on Wi-Fi. I've got too many things going on. But that's where that thing that I built earlier, the NVIDIA annual report, comes up here. Okay, cool. Yeah, so any other questions around that? And again, this looks like pretty simple stuff for any developer or that sort of things. But for us as laymen, this is now, the power is now in our hands to do this kind of stuff and to come up, whatever you can dream up, you could literally build. So any other questions or comments before I quickly show you Google's video editor?
If I could just say, Quentin, I've just downloaded Poe, the app.
Oh, yes, yes. That's where I use it as well.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a free one. It wants you to subscribe. If you subscribe, I think it's about $4 grand for the year, but there's a free one that gives you so many credits. And it's just given me a whole strength gym workout. So it's quite amazing. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. No, Poe is a great tool. And if you've got it on your phone, fantastic. Yeah.
I think I've just got.
Oh, Gary, your sound goes on and off.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
All right, fantastic. Okay, cool. And then the other thing I quickly want to show you is Google Video Editor. So I know some of you are budding video makers. So right now you can go to, well, let me qualify that. Not everybody gets everything with Google. Google sort of rolls it out. Some get, some don't. I don't think this is a country thing because I got it. But basically, if you look at your, your usual place where you go to docs, sheets, slides, forms, all of that. So I'm not saying Google videos are there, but if you go to docs.google.com/videos, you should have Vids. If you've got the AI sort of floating around your regular docs, Google Docs, where it says help me write and all those sort of things, you should have access to Google videos. But yeah, you could see it falls in that same format. And that I think is one of the benefits. Now it's part of your Google Workspace platform to create videos, which you usually maybe went somewhere else. I'm not saying this is the best video editor, because there's definitely in video and those sort of things that creates way better videos. But if you want to create quick and easy videos, the other thing is that it is now connected to your other document, to your workspace, to everything else that you do in AI. So you could literally come here and at all, the look and feel is the same as creating another document, another spreadsheet. The button down here says create new video. Click on that and you basically get to, again, a video. It almost looks like Google's slideshow. It's Google Slides that you want to develop. But you can see at the bottom here is the timeline. It says help me create, pick some templates, record or upload. And then you can describe the video here and say make, okay, I don't have to say make a video. It knows it's got to make a video. Global warming information video. I do want to say video. And then I say next, and then it starts writing the video for me. And it gives it an outline. It says it's going to do all of these things. I can then go and change that and edit it or delete some stuff or add some more on. But I'm just going to say next. Very limited templates. I'll just pick one of these. You can add more templates afterwards. Then it shows you what it's going to look like. And I say create a draft video. And now, again, I'm at the mercy of the speed of Google and everything. But you'll see it's relatively quick, or it was earlier when I tried it out. But it creates your video for you on the fly. So again, a lot of you will recognize this as something that in video can do fairly well, and you can do pretty quickly there. But this is a much simpler sort of format. And there's your video with everything about global warming. Now, it also shows you the script that it's using. And I can go and change the script that I want here, or I can say, no, because at the moment, if I play this, it's just got music and it's got, just continue. It's just got a slide and it's got some pictures and some video. This is a terrible song. Greenhouse gases and all of that sort of stuff. And there's your script. So I can now just pause that. Oh, that music is terrible. And then I can say, okay, well, generate this voiceover for me. And I can go choose a voiceover, a friendly, soothing, whatever it is. I'll just keep it a professional. And I say, insert that into the timeline. And it's inserting it into the timeline. And that quickly, you've got this somebody narrating your slide. Or maybe not that quickly. Oh, come on. There we go. And start it again. Yo. This is slow down a lot.
Human activities like burning fossil fuels release greenhouse gases, contributing to global warming.
Okay. There you go. So that's how you would generate a voiceover for all your different slides. So you'll see along the side here, you can, if you want to add an image with using Gemini's image creator, you can do that. So you could just click on that in the same way you would go to Gemini and type in a prompt to create an image. It will create an image for you and drop it in on your slide over there as well. There to describe the image. So I'm not going to do that. And then the other thing you can do is if the stock footage that it's using is not to your liking, you can go click on the video over there and right click it, I think. And then you can just say, replace the video with stock media, and it's the stock media that it brings up is still within the whatever's on the slide, the human activities, and then it'll show you all of so you can go and choose a different picture. Let's say you want that one rather, and I can choose that one, and it'll drop that one where the other one was. So it really just makes it quite easy and simple to build your video, and then you get the whole thing like that. So all the editing buttons, the text and all of that stuff is still there. You can obviously record a thing as well, the voiceover. But before we do that, I just quickly want to show you the other benefit in terms of using other documents. So if I, for instance, go and I say, I want to create a new video from an existing document in my Google Drive, I just have to be patient for that window. And I say, let me just say, create a video from, and I say, I use the @ button. And then I must try and remember in video. So hopefully this document is to be found there. Yeah, it looks like it found my document, even though I misspelled it. No, I just quickly have to see what I called that document on my drive. I'll go to my Google Drive. As you see, I have several Google accounts, and I go to my Google Drive. So you have to actually paste the exact name of that file, and it doesn't actually sort of go search for it. It's this. Oh, it's this one. Hello. Okay, let me rename it so that I can copy it. Copy, and then I go from actually this document. Then hopefully I get a better result this time. There we go. So this document is an example of an annual report. I go next, choose a template, and I say create the draft video. And as simple as that, it takes all of that information from the annual report, drops it into my video, and you basically have your outline, and you can go around and play with it. So while that is happening, any comments or questions on that?
Hi, Quentin. I posted my question in the chat box, but I was just thinking of platforms like Fiverr and Upwork when the entire, I don't know, mandate is meant to, give this as a selling point.
Yeah. Yeah, you mean the people that sell on those
yeah, well, meant to do this for income.
Yeah, well, I've seen also a lot of them have adapted to this. They basically stay straight out. I use these and these tools, or I'm an expert in these tools. Because as simple simple as this looks, and a lot of it would say, oh, I can do my own video. There's still people who's going to say, well, I don't have the time or inclination to learn. So I'm going to get somebody to do it for me. But possibly, again, where that relationship could change is I could put something like this together and then give it to somebody on AppWorks to just dolly it up for me. Because as you can see, it's not the best looking video ever. It's a nice, quick and easy way to do a video, but it's not the, you know, I wouldn't put this out on my website just in the state that it is right now. So it does need a bit of time. But yeah, good question. I think there's maybe even more people who came onto the upper platform just thinking that they can use AI and become copywriters, become designers, and all of those sort of things. So it's maybe a little bit harder to find the good ones on there.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
What is this called? What is, I see it's Google, it's google.com/video or vid. Is that where you found it?
It's actually docs. If you can you see at the top of my screen there? docs.google.com/videos.
Okay.
Something I don't know if I mentioned earlier, you can also record yourself, so you can record with a teleprompter. So if I click on that, you'll see my video comes up, and I can then click on want camera and screen, and then it actually shows me my camera down here. Oh, it won't use my camera because my camera is being used by Zoom at this stage. But yeah, you can do camera and screen, or you can just audio and screen, or just audio. So you can literally go ahead and the nice thing, it actually brings up your teleprompter right there in front of your face, so you can read off the screen while everything else is going on at the same time. So yeah, I think it's quite useful, and again, it adds value to the whole Google Workspace environment. Cool. Any more comments or questions?
Well, I'm going to give this a go tonight because I was struggling last night with Vid, which is on the ChatGPT side.
Oh yes, yeah. Did you use a Vid GPT to go to?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And then it takes you to the Vid website.
Yeah.
And it's not, their website doesn't seem to be as easy as what this is. So that's why I'm going to rather give this a go and see maybe it's easier to create a video.
No, absolutely. If you want to use or create more upscale videos, I think the best one is probably InVideo at this stage for this type of video. Now, we're waiting for all of those fancy ones that basically create Hollywood quality videos like Sora, and there was a bunch of others. I think Runway has come out with Runway 3, which creates full-on storylines with you know, where it adds video and all of that stuff in there, and brilliant narration and all that sort of stuff. But I think for business purposes, this is probably sufficient. Cool. Any other questions or comments or passing remarks?
Looks good, Quentin. It looks very good.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
all right, guys.
Quick comment on from my
Yes,
side. I think, you know, talking about, you know, people getting out of work and things, I think it's really just a matter of people using the tools, and you can expect better productivity and better results because people aren't doing it from scratch. And this is where AI is going to change things, and you actually look for that. If somebody's going to start something from absolute scratch, it's a problem. You know, you're expecting, if you look at sort of the medical industry worldwide, doctors slowly, because they don't want to do this, but let's just get the ego out of it. Globally, there's some really great medical places, and they're going, well, why are doctors not using AI based on not just nonsense, but like Notebook LM, load specific things in and then read from that and that only, in order to try and synthesize stuff. The law is the same thing. My son works at an attorney. He says they're not really embracing it, but he said they've got one or two forward-thinking guys, and they're going, it just load the law books on, load all the case studies on, load all the precedents on. And then if you're going to go, well, okay, we've got a dog bite. Okay, go and find all precedents with a dog bites. Yeah. Right. And it comes up and does it. Otherwise, somebody's physically sitting there, they're trying to remember stuff. And this is where AI is really good, is you don't have to remember. AI is going to remember it for you, and it's going to cross-reference it. Again, pharmacovigilance, you know, what are drug interactions? Let's say you're taking 7 different drugs. You've got to learn the interactions between all 7, and the combination is these 3 with this one. And that's the type of thing that AI can do for you really quickly. So when it comes to doing things like creating websites and copy and stuff, I think, you know, using a professional, whether it's on Upwork or Fiverr or whatever like that, is really good. And you'll probably get a better solution from a perspective of they know what they're doing, and you got to, what is it worth your time doing this? You know, if it's something which is really professional and you want to create a professional website, I'd still go to a professional web designer. But I would be telling them, I would be asking them, what AI products are you using to make this thing work? Yeah. No, I'm just sort of, you know, I sort of designed the logo myself, and, you know, that's going to take me 10 hours, and I'm going to come up with 2 or 3 options, and then I'm going to charge you for that. You know, with AI, I can get 50 options in half an hour. Correct. Yeah. You know, until I really like something I like. So I think play with it yourself, but use guys who use the tools. And that's the key thing, because you're going to be getting more and more productivity. As you know, as software development house, we're constantly looking at what's happening with AI. You know, we're going to a conference in Europe in 2 months. And our big question is, what are you doing with AI to improve the code? How do we do that? How do we code faster? Instead of somebody taking a day or 2 weeks to program something, how can we do that in an hour? Correct. Right. So I think these things they do change, and I think they're changing the world. We've got to understand it really quickly. The great stat at the beginning, Quinton, 75% of companies saying they don't train people, but it's the biggest issue. It's mind-blowing. I think that's a resistance to change, and people also don't understand, and people don't have time. Yeah. So I think there's a great opportunity for people taking AI and having an opportunity of leapfrogging your competitors, because you're in the early adopters phase still. You haven't hit the main run. Yeah. Just some thoughts. No, absolutely. No, you're quite right, Tony. Thanks for sharing that. I also think it's partly that comments I made last week about people, companies overthinking it and thinking, oh, they got to think of how to implement an AI platform on top of their IT system, when it's maybe just the smaller widgets and stuff that can be built in, that can be quick wins for certain people in the organization. Yeah, and it creates a culture of using the tool. Yeah, exactly. Right, and that's the point. You know, if you create a small use case, you do it. It doesn't matter if it has a big impact or not. The fact is, you're doing it. Yeah, and that win will create another win and another win. So, and very good. That was a great comment last week, by the way. It came up in our board meeting. Thank you. Great. All right, everybody. Any more comments, or anybody wants to chat? All right. Good, everyone. See you guys next week. Cheers.
Thanks, Winston.
All right. Bye-bye.